like, did you just come out the shower with Peanut? He was like, oh no, it ain't what you think. I said, grab him, y'all, grab him. So I forced him to his knees. I said, yo, open his mouth, open his mouth. So then I pulled out the knife. I said, listen, if it's true, what I just heard, it's over. It's over. Open his mouth, y'all. Open his mouth. By no circumstances at all. I got zero tolerance. You do not talk to a punk. You don't eat with a punk. And you don't sleep with no punk. Do you understand? Do you understand? He was like, Donta, please, don't do this to me. Don't do it to me, man. It ain't what it look like. It don't look like what it seems. Please don't. No.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
This prison story right here is about my homeboy J Rock that could not shake these transsexuals. You know, in hindsight, now that I think about it, I should have known that it was something off with J Rock. So me and Al, we in the cell, right? And we discussed how we about to split this money up. So J Rock comes to the cell. He like, hey, Donta, we got another one. So I'm like, what you mean we got another one? He was like, man, there's somebody down there look like they got some money. So I said, Al, go check on that. So Al go with J Rock and they leave, right? So I'm divvying up the commissary, and next thing you know, Al come back. He like, man, that's a no-go. That's a no-go. I'm like, what you mean it's a no-go? He like, man, hey, I don't know what J Rock on, but man, that's a whole dude out there. So I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, like, what do he mean that's a whole dude out there? Because it's like, we are dudes here. What is he talking about? So I'm like, what you mean? He like, man, it's a whole, I guess a transsexual or something out there or whatever it is. I was like, what you mean? He's like, man, I don't know, but I don't want to even, I don't know. So I said, all right. So about 5 minutes later, J Rock come and he like, hey, Al, what's up with all that? And Al was like, what you mean? I told you we ain't messing with that. And J Rock was like, no, but man, he seemed like he got some money though. And so he was like, Donta, what's up? I said, hey, Al said we ain't messing with it. Ain't nothing else to talk about. Now, for those that don't know who Al is, Al was my second in command, right? Al was the guy that if I went to the hole, he would take care of the whole operation. Or if I had to go on a visit, or if I had to go to medical or whatever, if I was out of sight, out of mind, Al will be the one that step up and take over the whole operations, right? So usually if Al make a decision, you know, I don't never supersede it because usually he make a good call on things. So, you know, when J Rock looked at me, it was like, hey, I said, hey, man, Al already spoke. It is what it is. So he like, all right, man, all right. So he peeled off. So Al was like, yeah, Donta, he talking about, you know, giving protection to that thing down there, whatever. And I was like, well, you already know what time it is. That's definitely ain't happening. Right now, let me give y'all a sidebar right quick, because I know a lot of y'all be talking about, oh, Donta always got something bad to say about them type of folks. No, it ain't that I got something bad to say about them type of folks. It's just that, you know, in prison, birds of a feather flock together. And what that looked like, me offering protection services for people like that, you know, that'll just put a big smear on my name and, you know, our thing that we got going on up here. So, nah, that's out. So, anyway, I'm like, hey, Al, go check on J Rock, man, because he kind of moving funny. He was like, yeah, I know he is kind of moving funny. So Al leave out the cell, and it didn't take nothing but 15 seconds. Al peeled right back in. It was like, man, come to the tier right quick. And I said, all right. So then I get up and I get on the tier and I see him. J Rock is right there talking to it, right? So, and for those that don't know, the cat name was Peanut. He was a transsexual by the name Peanut or whatever. And I'm like, what? I said, man, this dude tripping. I said, hey, J Rock, hey man. He like, what's up, D? I said, man, come here right quick. And he was like, all right, hold on. I was like, no, come here right now. Right? He like, all right, hold on. So he peeled up the stairs. I'm like, hey, Jay, what's up with you, man? He like, what you mean, what's up? I said, why is you talking to homeboy like that? He like, oh, no, man. He from my city. He from our city, Donta. I said, okay, but, man, what is y'all talking about? He like, oh, no, man, he knows some of my people. I know some of his people, and I was just letting you know how things go in this dormitory. I said, all right, but, you need to watch that. You need to have one of the homies, go over there with you with that conversation, because you know how it is around here. Cats will be seeing y'all talking and thinking like it's something else going on, and you know that rule. One of the rules that I had established with amongst me and my homeboys is that if you go do business with somebody, you have to bring somebody else with you to establish a witness, right? And especially, now listen, we could do business with them type of people, right? But in all cases, there always have to be somebody there as a witness, okay? So there won't be no misunderstandings, no funny business going on, because let me tell y'all, in prison, men gossip like women. They gossip like women. So you have to make sure that your P's and Q's and you got all your things crossed, because if not, you can end up in a situation. And I had a zero tolerance of that type of nefarious activities going on in my circle. So he like, all right, Donta, man, listen, respectfully, a homeboy from our city, and even though he is like that, I just want to lace him up to let him know who to, stay away from, and, who to deal with, who not to deal with. I said, I get all that, but you already know if dude rocking like that, that's just what it is, man. He on his own. So he said, all right, I feel that, but I got you. So I said, go get Tar T, because Tar T need to be down there anyway to see what's going on. So he was like, why Tar T got to come? I said, because that's just what it is. I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't you questioning me like that? He like, oh, no, it wasn't that, man. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm a grown man, and I don't really need nobody, shadowing me. I'm like, hey, listen, man, go get Tar T and let Tar T is going to hear the convo. And I just turned away and walked off, and then Al walked off. So he started going out of tear, talking a little loud, just enough for us to hear. It's like, man, I'm a grown man, man. Ain't nobody going to sit up there and try to tell me what I need to do. I'm a grown man, all this grown man talk, right? So Al like, hey, man, what's up with J Rock? I said, man, I don't know. Dude is really tripping. He like, yeah, he is. So that day, nothing else really eventful actually happened. So the next day, right, we hit the yard, right? Now, typically, if a boy, which is, a gay guy, whatever, if a boy is already taken, 9 times out of 10, he's over there with his guy, right? And, or a lot of them boys like hang around each other like housewives or something, while they dudes is over there conducting their business or whatever they got going on. All the boys usually be grouped up, walking the track by themselves or whatever the case is. So, me and my homeboys, we right there, we hit the yard and we on the weight pile. So dude Peanut roll up on us, right? So let me just, show y'all the scene, paint the scenery. So you got me, Al, Tar T, Homicide, KD, and I think Jerry was over there, if I'm not sure. Jerry was over there too. And J Rock. So I'm on a weight pile, and let me tell y'all this too right quick. Just in case for you youngins that might, I don't know if they still got weights in prison, whatever. But if you on the weight pile, right, make sure, please listen to me. Make sure that there's no liquid substances on that weight pile. And I'm going to tell y'all why in the next video, but we going to leave that to something else. But anyway, so I'm down there and I'm laying on my back and I'm pushing the iron, right? Next thing you know, I hear, hey man, you got to get up out of here. You got to get away from here. I just need to talk to J Rock. So I pushed the iron up and my homeboy grabbed it. And I lift up. I'm like, and I see it's Peanut. And Peanut trying to talk to J Rock. And, you know, Homicide like, hey man, you gotta get from round here, man. So he telling that to Peanut, and J Rock like, oh no, he good, man. We all from the same city. We good. He just need to holler about something. So then I got up instantly, right? And then all the homies got behind me. We started walking towards J Rock and Peanut. And I said, hey, listen. You cannot conversate with us. You cannot be around us like that. If y'all gonna conversate, man, go over there and talk whatever. And make sure somebody go with you, because you ain't, get away from here, man. And he like, oh, it's like that. I said, yeah, it's like that. He like, okay. So J Rock was like, hey, man, I'm gonna holler at you later. I said, hey, J Rock, come here right quick, man. I said, what's up with you? He like, what you mean, what's up? I said, yo, why you keep having this dude around, man? He like, no, man, he supposed to be getting word back to my family, you know, to try to get some money on my books or whatever. I said, listen, J Rock, I don't know what you got going on. I don't know how you know this dude or whatever, but you already know that we cannot conversate and, you know what I'm saying, being around this cat like that, man. Because you starting to make us look bad. He like, man, Donta, hey, listen, man, no disrespect, but I know how to program. And plus, man, I knew dude from the streets. I said, all right, but keep it that way. He like, all right, man, whatever. So then he walked off. So then Al was like, hey, somebody go tag along with him, man. So next thing you know, Tar T go over there and he talking. I don't know what they talking about. I guess Tar T trying to, you know, let J Rock know like, yo, dog, whatever, you need to just chill, man, on that, whatever. Right? So now we're in the child hall. We're just going to fast forward to the child hall, right? So the first table when you first walk in, right, is the GD table. The next table right there is the Crip table. The next table right there is the Woods. The next table right there is the Neutrons. The table that come back is the Others. And right there is our table right there. And then you got the table over here with the Hispanics. And then you got the table all the way in the back. And that's where the homosexuals sit at, right? So keep in mind, our table is on the left, in the back towards the left hand side, and our table like 3 tables away from the homos to the right. So it's so maybe five guys right here on one side and 5 guys right here. So maybe 10 people can sit at this table, right? So we all sitting down or whatever. Next thing you know, Peanut pulls up. Now, the way we was programming, if you were from Atlanta or you were from Detroit, because of me and my politics, what I had going on, this is the table that you sit at unless you're a part of an organization or a gang or whatever. So Peanut ended up rolling up. I guess this was Peanut's first time in the chow hall. I guess he didn't come to the chow hall the first day that he got here. So when he rolls up, everybody looking, because he right there, he looking around like, where do I supposed to sit at, right? So Peanut make his way towards us. So I give J Rock that look like, you know, get your homeboy. So J Rock like he standing up and he like, hey, you gotta sit over there. And he like, why I gotta sit over there? I thought we supposed to sit at the same place. And I just balled my fist up and hit the table. I said, look, I ain't gonna say what I said, y'all, because, you know, due to YouTube guidelines and things like that. I can't say what I said, but I had some very choice words to Peanut, and I was just frustrated. And I was upset because I'm like, yo, this dude keep trying to attach himself to us, right, through J Rock. So J Rock, like, yeah, you gotta sit over there, and Peanut, like, well, I gotta sit over there. It just really irritated me when he said that. So I banged my hands on the table, right, and I stood up. I said, look, blah 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 blah. You need to take your blah 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 blah, because that's what a blah 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 said, right? And he was like, you ain't gotta talk to me like that. You don't even know me like that, and all this and that. And I'm like, hey man, don't talk to me. You better not say nothing else to me. And he just walked off, and he sat over there at the table, and he kept looking back at me, like poking his lip. You know how women be stick their lips out like with the duck lips and stuff. That's what he was doing, like turning his head and looking at me. I'm like, man, this dude finna get hurt up here. This dude finna get hurt. So he over there talking to, I guess, the other guys, the boys or whatever you want to call them. So I just lost my appetite, and I said, yeah, I'm out, man. So then I get up, and a couple of my homeboys get up with me too. We leave out, right? So about 10 minutes later, J Rock comes in the dormitory, and I'm standing at the door, and I'm like, hey, J Rock, come holler at me in the cell right quick. And he's like, what's up, DT? I said, come upstairs right quick. Let me holler at you in the cell. We go upstairs, right? He like, what's up? I said, man, what's up with you, man? He like, what you mean, what's up? I said, you on the yard with Peanut. If I wouldn't have said nothing, I think you would have let Peanut sit at the table. Like, what's up with you, man? He was like, oh no, man. Like I said, man, I know it's people, I said, but listen, man, we already had an incident not too long ago with KB, and that right there, it almost kind of made us look some type of way, and you know what I'm saying? And we don't need no more incidents like that. Because it's you know what I mean? He was like, yeah, but man, Peanut ain't even like that. I said, man, but dog. He like, man, I understand, man. I'm going to cut it out. I said, all right, man. So J Rock leave out the cell. So he leave out, and I hear, you better not put your hands on me. So I peek my head out the cell, and this Peanut getting into it with this Crip, right? So I'm like, what the heck? So then I see J Rock in my peripheral, right, of my left peripheral, and he's running down the stairs. And he like, hey, he get like in between them and like, yo, hey man, y'all chill. So I'm scratching my head. So it's like two Crip dudes pull up, and Tar T. Now, if y'all know who Tar T was my Crip homeboy from Atlanta. So these two Crip dudes pulled up on J Rock. So it's three Crips, J Rock and Peanut, right? And then Tar T pulls up, right? And so then he like, hey man, Shawty, what's going on? So Peanut like, man, he trying to put his hands on me and all this and that, because I won't. And I'm not going to say what he said, but what he said something very nefarious, right, towards the Crip. He basically tried to insinuate the Crip tried to do something to him in the shower the other night. So in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, that's Crip business. Ain't got nothing to do with me. But the better question is, what the heck J Rock doing down there? Why is J Rock getting in between this Crip and Peanut, right? So after that, Tar T got to settle, with J Rock and the Crip guy and all this and that. So after that, Peanut ended up checking in. He ended up checking into the hole because the Crips was like they was going to do something to him, and he felt some type of way, so he checked in the hole. Point being, now, I don't know if y'all seen the video with J Rock before where he really got exposed when he came to me. It was like, yo, Donta, listen, man. Hey, I respect what y'all got going on in here, but man, hey, this just me, and I'm going to be who I am when he finally came out and told us the truth about who he was or whatever. Yeah. I should have known, man. There were signs. There were signs. And this is just one of them stories that I was just thinking about. And I said, yeah, J-Rock always been like that. But anyway, y'all, we back to the story time. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button and share the video. And till next time. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you hit that like button for me. Also, if you like stories like this, make sure you check out Stacy's Storytime.
Stacy's Storytime.
I'll have her link pinned at the top of the comment section. Make sure y'all go check her out. If you want to continue to show your support for the Donta Show Network, make sure you send your weekly donation to our Cash App, our PayPal, and our Zelle. It is highly appreciated. Until next time, take care.